One of the biggest reasons I see people with IBS, Crohn's, colitis not getting better is because they are not addressing the emotional piece to healing. The past trauma, the current stress that is triggering these symptoms every day. Now let's talk about that trauma, that stress, and how that gut-brain connection alters our digestion and how we can move past those triggers so they stop triggering our diarrhea, constipation, bloating, urgency, pain, and we can actually live our lives again. I'm Dr. Kristen, founded MedFree PharmD, where I help women with digestive issues heal naturally without medication. Let's get into your past trauma. And we often think healing is just about what we eat, right? We need to change our diet. We need to cover it up with medications. Of course, diet and what we eat is part of it. I don't support covering it up with medications, but trauma and stress is the other huge part that is often missed and ignored. So why does it matter? Because your vagus nerve connects your intestines to your brain and they talk. So when you're stressed and you're anxious or you have old trauma causing these triggers, your brain is saying, hey, intestines, we're in fight or flight. We got to deal with this event, like this big tiger in front of us we have to run away from. Don't digest that food right now. We got to run away from the tiger so we don't die. Nowadays, it's not a tiger, it's our cell phone and traffic and our job and our kids that are constantly telling our intestines, don't digest properly, you got to wait. Or it's your past trauma triggering that stress response in your body. Now, stress is not just emotional, it is chemical. When we're stressed or we have trauma triggering us, it shoots cortisol into our body. Now, in a normal, scary situation where we have to deal with something and we're in fight or flight, this is a good thing. It tells our body, hey, let's not digest that food right now. Let's run away from this threat. You can do that later. But when we have chronic cortisol flooding our system from chronic stress or chronic past trauma triggers, that's when we get decreased stomach acid, decreased enzyme, tightened gut wall muscles that over time lead us to slowed motility, trapped waste, or for some of you, increased motility if you're having diarrhea all the time. Your body's just saying, get it out, don't deal with it. And we have our pain and our constipation and our diarrhea and our IBS and our Crohn's and colitis. Now, you've probably noticed when you have something very stressful, this is probably when your worst flare happens, and it might happen during or it might happen after, once the threat is over. For most people, especially those with Crohn's or colitis, their first flare happened after a big traumatic event, a loss, a burnout, a divorce, an accident, a health scare. Your body stored that trauma. Now, it likely didn't happen right after that event. It likely happened months later after your body had had these things building up. It built those extra gut cells to deal with what's happening, and eventually it couldn't deal with it anymore, and then you had your big flare. So this cycle can repeat, right? Where you have this big flare, then maybe you feel a little bit better, and then you have another flare. And this happens because of the stress response and because your brainstem stores the five senses related to traumatic memories. Now, traumatic doesn't have to be this, crazy thing. It can be anything that was sudden and unexpected. And your body stores those five senses: what you saw, what you smelled, what you heard, what you felt, and what you tasted, if that applied. And these five senses, after this trauma happened, can act as triggers to trigger your flares. So what do we do about that? What do we do about this cortisol flood? What do we do about these triggers that we might not even know are triggers? You might not even know these. You probably don't know these are triggers. Well, we have to address the stress patterns. We have to address both the physical and mental pieces. How do we do that? We reset the nervous system and we dissolve those triggers. So those triggers can stop causing our flares and stop causing our symptoms. Of course, we can't forget about the mucus layer and the tight junctions and the cell wall or the gut wall and the diet piece. But we have to stop fighting our own body with these triggers and constant cortisol. Now, sometimes it's enough for people to just know what these triggers are to start dissolving them. Other people have to go through a process to identify them and then dissolve them. Resetting the nervous system, dissolving these triggers, and resetting our stress patterns, as well as addressing the physical piece of rebuilding the gut lining and the microbiome, is exactly what I help women do so they can put their diarrhea, their constipation, their cramps, their urgency, their colitis, their IBS, their Crohn's, behind them in the past and live their life again. If you're tired of dealing with these things, then DM me Rooted and learn my 90-day system for healing. I wish you got love and peace. Hope to hear from you soon.